It's the Miles Grab YouTube show. It's about comics and science and stuff. Howdy everyone. I said I was going to make a YouTube video either about science or comics or Dune or something that you know me for talking for. And you guys voted and you said the first thing you wanted to hear about was independent comic book recommendations. So I'm going to get started. I've got a few books here. I'm not going to go over what the plots are and all the names of the characters and everything in each book. What I'm going to do is give you the themes of the book, the kind of feelings, the style, what the book's about kind of generally, because I don't want to give a book report. I want to give you why I think it's an interesting book and why I think you should read it. You can explore and be introduced to the characters and the plot as you read it. I'm not going to do that for you. But the first book, it's called Brass Sun. It's a science fiction story that has some religious themes to it. It's by Ian Edgington, and I'm probably going to pronounce this guy's name wrong. I.N.G. Cubbard, I believe it is. It is it's published by 2000 AD, and you can get it in floppy or this awesome hardcover form. The book's not too much. I think it's about 30 bucks or so for this hardcover. You can see some of the webcam focus. See some of the pages here. It's somewhat reminiscent of Golden Compass. The protagonist of the story gets a device. There's a bunch of clerical people who are looking for it. They find all these secrets of the world that were quite interesting. It's pretty unique. There's cool machinery, really awesome. People would call it steampunk, but it's really more just analog gears, like clock face kind of imagery in the book. There's zeppelins and stuff. World War I style imagery to a lot of the book actually. It's set in what seems to be kind of like a European, like World War I European kind of era, but it's not. It's in the fantasy realm, but it's a really beautiful story. Um, it also takes a lot of interesting turns at the end, places you didn't expect it to go. From the beginning, where they're just running around and the reeds from weird robots, you end up with whatever the heck that is. It's a pretty awesome book. Yeah, Brass Sun. I highly recommend it. You can get it online, your local comic shop. Oh, focus camera. Here we go. You can get it where comics are sold, I believe. So that's the first one. The second series that I bring to you is Spira. There are actually 4 books, but I'm trying to get people to read it, so I've loaned out my copy to my good friend Benjamin. This is so this is number 2, Spira number 2, Spira number 3, and then they did a kind of a different series, but it's still Spira, the Ascension of the Starless. What I like about Spira so much is it is inspired and is very reminiscent of the late SNES, early PS1 era JRPGs, both in its colors and its themes. It also has this Miyazaki type feel to it, where you get these 2 young girls, one who's a more typical female character and one who's like a level 4 warrior, pretty much. Go on this adventure with this beautiful fox-like creature as well, who's, like I said, very Miyazaki style. They eventually meet a super cool cat warrior who I believe is actually from another IP, but I'm not sure. It seems that way in the story. Someone probably knows better than me, but you can see some of the beautiful, my webcam, I gotta use this, beautiful art of this book, and see what I'm talking about that PlayStation 1. Kind of like, what's the Legend of Mana? Kind of reminds me of that. Also very interesting, I gotta get used to this, very interesting thing about this book is that every issue is done by a different artist. However, they all seem to be able to capture that feel, that like I said, JRPG style with a few Miyazaki flavor crystals feel to them. Very beautiful. There's lots of other fantastic characters in this book. It's pretty deep, pretty interesting. Kids can read it, adults can read it. Cool people of all kinds and varieties will enjoy it. It's I can't really say all the names of the artists because there are too many. Although I love almost every single one of them. The ones I don't love, I still really like. It is by John Turini. I'm probably saying your last name wrong, buddy. I'm sorry. He's a really nice guy. I definitely recommend checking out his book. It is published by Archaea, I believe. I can't pronounce anything right. I'm sorry, but I believe they're owned by Boom. So definitely check that one out. I really want to start talking about this next book with Beatles music playing, but I didn't want to get DMCA'd. I don't really know how YouTube works that well. So recommendation number 1. The Fifth Beatle, the Brian Epstein story, and these are the awesome people who made it at the bottom there. As you may know, if you're hip enough, Brian Epstein is the producer of the unequivocal greatest band of all time, the Beatles. The book tells the story of him as a young lad in Liverpool, where he, found the Fab Four, all the way up until the end when the Beatles were playing songs so complicated they couldn't play them live anymore. Also, a thing about Brian Epstein is he was a gay man, which was fine in the chic circles the Beatles ran in, but it wasn't always fine in Britain because it was illegal, which, there's that, and there was a lot of troubles with that in his life. You can see some of the absolutely beautiful art they use, that more kind of modern paneling, a lot of pages, a lot of mixed mediums, different artists, as you can see. It is both an emotional and well-written story of a person who is part of one of the greatest creative teams of all time, the Beatles, and he doesn't always get enough credit. You can see some of the art here, just the scenes, the way they set him against the world that he's in. Absolutely beautiful book. If you're a fan of the Beatles, or if you are interested in culture that's happened in the last 70 years, or just absolutely well-made comics that use tons of mixed mediums like this, I definitely recommend checking out The Fifth Beatle. I believe it's a pretty highly acclaimed book. I think it won an award, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, it's only $20 for this graphic novel, and I mean, why would you not buy that? It's $20. So I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this next one because it's an Image book, and I don't know, Image is like the big three now. And this is by one of the best writers, Jeff Lemire, so everybody may know it. But I did want to mention, in case somebody doesn't, Sweet Tooth. And you can see I'm such a big fan of Sweet Tooth that I have a signed copy right up there, even though, fortunately, I never got to meet Jeff. He's never around when I go to meet him. But if you know anything about me, I don't really like zombies. I don't like post-apocalyptic stuff. This has a zombie-esque thing, kind of, that happened in it, kind of, and is technically post-apocalyptic, but I love this book. I think one of the reasons is it does a lot of things that The Walking Dead tries to do. I'm probably going to get criticized for saying anything bad about The Walking Dead, but I think this book deals with humanity in this world way more interesting. That's probably not the most interesting comment about it, but I don't really want to spoil anything, so you're just going to have to trust me there. Jeff's art also is absolutely beautiful. He manages to make things look kind of frayed. Almost sloppy at times, like an early Nirvana album. It's just a lot of emotion and power to them with kind of this roughness. I don't know, it's a comic book that should have came out in the 90s. It might have saved the crash. It also has a very interesting story that takes us to a somewhat supernatural kind of riff in the end, but all along it's very human. I don't think all my comments about it are quite as sharp as I wanted because I'm trying not to spoil anything, but if you have not read Sweet Tooth, the guy who hates post-apocalyptic stuff, he loves this one. So, this is the one to get. The next story I want to talk about is a surprise. It is called Batu, The Name and the Mark, and it is by Evan Dahum, I believe you say his name. What I like most about this book is it uses a lot of almost Joseph Campbell cliches, like stuff that George Lucas would write. Like the main character, as you can see, starts off in a field in a small village. This small village attacked by the emperors, as small villages. That's how that normally breaks down. He ends up meeting a large creature that was made for war who can't speak. Wonderful art. The colors in this book are really consistent. You get this kind of twilight and dusk kind of view quite often in the story. What I like about it so much is he's able to communicate a very interesting character without any words. Um, it doesn't need a lot of heavy monologue and dialogue in order to get the point across. The artist really knows how to deal with color and paneling in order to tell a story, so it's an especially good comic book. The story might not even work as good as a book or as a film, but as a comic, which is what it is, it's absolutely beautiful. I believe there are more of it. I bought it at ECC a couple of years ago, and I really want to pick up another one. Maybe I can get away from my booth this year and get over there. Um, like I said, the relationship that's most interesting is about our main character as he learns about this outside world, and his relationship to this warrior kind of Hulk, and how they both learn through each other and learn about the world. Um, the story really could have easily been cliche. It could have very easily been uninteresting, but it's so well made. I highly recommend checking it out. Like I said, I don't know what happens in the next couple, but I would really like to. So if you're looking for a good book, this is one of them. Also has these cool dog people. I don't believe it's post-published. I believe it's self-published, which, it's hard to do. Good job. And the next book is absolutely the best comic I've ever read. Oh, sorry. That was. Next up is Asphodel, which is a independent comic that was ran on Kickstarter. There's only one issue so far, but it's very beautiful. It's written by Alex Kane, and the art is by Gail Gallahan. Galligan? Yeah, let's go with that one. Here it is. It's a very beautiful sci-fi. I particularly like, and this is kind of an odd comic, how the artist draws the female main character. I guess she's the secondary character, but her face, I just find it delightful, absolutely delightful. It's an interesting space story. We encounter characters who've been lost and they're re-entered to this world. They're very kind of modern in the way that they talk and dress, so it's really relatable. The watercolored backgrounds of space are absolutely beautiful. I particularly like this kind of biodome they have suspended in space. Really beautiful futurism stuff. We're not entirely sure where the story's going, so I can't say a lot there, but it's cheap on Comixology. It's like $2, and you can always grab a paper copy, which I recommend. Comics are better that way, but if you like digital, you can get it for just $2. So I recommend Asphodel as well. I hope you guys like this. Yeah, I'm not great at YouTube. I'm not great at video editing. So I just wanted to make a video because you guys asked me to, and hope you like the comics that I recommended. Most of them you can get pretty cheap, and they're awesome books that you may not have heard of. If anybody wants me to do another one of these, I may do another comic book one soon, but the next one I want to do is on GMO labeling because I don't want to just do nerdy stuff. Got to mix up the science with the nerdy, like Arnold Palmer tea. Alright, until next time, live long and prosper.